If you have pain right here or anywhere along the bottom side of your foot arch, like plantar fasciitis, and you've tried things like rolling it or stretching it out, but it hasn't given you the results you're looking for, this video is for you. Typically, plantar fasciitis is inflammation of the connective tissue that runs along the bottom side of our foot arch. And this inflammation usually occurs because the foot lacks a specific ability and a specific motion. That motion is usually the ability for those connective tissues to properly yield and lengthen as our foot arch drops closer to the floor. This is what we refer to as pronation of the foot. That inflammation is there because that tissue is tight and it can't properly elongate. So what we're going to end up doing is finding a compensatory way to create that pronation and lowering of the foot arch. Now, there's a couple of key components we need to consider if we want to get that tissue to better let go and restore better mechanics to the foot. When our foot arch lowers to the ground, that is paired with this shin bone moving forward and twisting into what we call internal rotation of this tibia bone. Now, what that allows us to do, and this is something most people don't realize, what creates good, healthy pronation of the foot, is that when we do move into that, this heel bone is going to move inwards like this right there, but also it is going to roll forward, meaning that it is going to move into this action right here as it tips inward. And that is a very key component, and that rolling forward is what helps create that elongation of that plantar fascia. Now, at the front of the foot, because the back half of the foot is moving inwards, the front half actually relatively moves outwards like this. So it's this twisting motion. This is what helps lower that foot arch in a healthy way. And it's not the same thing as the whole foot dumping inwards. That is not healthy pronation. That may be present when someone has plantar fasciitis because that is a compensatory way to find pronation, but good, healthy, genuine elongation of that foot arch and dropping of that foot arch should entail the back half of the foot moving more inwards and rotating in, and the forefoot rotating relatively out like that. And there's a couple of ways that we can train that and improve it. So you can work on rolling out your foot arch or stretching it all day long, but if your foot lacks the proper mechanics to get that arch to lower in the way that it needs to, you're probably not going to see long-term results fixing this issue. I'm going to show you two really good exercises for restoring better pronation capabilities, elongation of that tissue, and better overall foot function. But if you want more exercises and a more comprehensive full body approach to improving how the foot works with the shin and the leg and the hip and the rest of the body, check out my Lower Limb Foundations program. As I kind of just touched on, this program is a total body approach to fixing a lot of common issues and dysfunctions within the foot, restoring mobility, function, and having that sync up with the rest of our body, which is key for long-term fixes. So if you want to learn more about that, check it out down below in the description. This first drill will teach us how to get better pronation of that foot, but we need a paper towel folded up in a specific way to get our foot in a good position to drive those mechanics. So I've got about 4 small paper towels. We're first going to fold them in half like this and then like this. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to fold it now over top of itself like this. And then you're gonna go one more time like this, and then one more time like that. So now you have about this much thickness of that paper towel, okay? This is gonna go underneath your first and somewhat of your second base of your toes right here and right here. So what this is gonna do is this is gonna push that forefoot up so the back half of the foot can better go down and that heel can move. And this will help us get better length through that foot arch right here. So it's okay if some of your toe, like the tip of it right here, is hanging off. That's totally fine. You wanna make sure that the ball of your foot underneath your first and second toes are the part that's really elevated right there. Now get in a split stance like this. You just want to make sure you're comfortable and stable. So some people might be here, other people might be here. You might be more comfortable here or turned out, whatever feels good to you. You're going to lock out this knee and you're going to feel your weight more on the outside of your heel. But what you always want to feel throughout this entire exercise is your heel and the base of your big toe and the base of your little toe right here. Now, naturally, as you lock out here, like I said, you're gonna be more on the outside of your foot. But as you unlock your knee and start to push your knee forward over your big toe, you're going to feel your weight transfer more to the inside edge of your foot arch, particularly your inner heel and the base of your big toe. And then slowly and controlled have this move forward, 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 stopping at the point when you feel like you're gonna feel a pinch in the front of your ankle, or you're going to lose more than 50% of your weight in this heel right here. If you feel like that heel is gonna come off of the ground, or more than half of your weight is now in the front of your foot, that means you've gone too far. So for some people, they may end here. Other people, it might be a little further forward. I'm gonna recommend that you do about 2 sets of around 20 to 25 slow reps, really controlling this. Remember, the knee is gonna go over the second toe. It's not gonna go too far out or too far in. You wanna pivot from the hip as well. You don't wanna just do that. This next one is an isometric exercise that will help activate muscles that control better pronation and mechanics of the foot arch lowering to the ground. After you get done with this, your foot should feel more connected to the floor when you walk. So we're gonna get at an angle relative to the wall. Not too much, just about right here. You can play around with how close or how far away you are, but you wanna have your elbow around shoulder height right there. And then we're going to lift the leg closest to the wall to a 90-degree angle, just like this. You may wanna go a little bit lower if you feel a pinch in your hip, but I wouldn't go much lower than this. So I'm gonna hang out right here. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to feel the inside edge of the ball of my foot right here. This is going to stay relaxed, and this is probably going to come off of the floor a little bit. And then we're going to lift and do a tiny calf raise, keeping the weight in that exact point of our foot. Now, I am going to have the intention to lift my big toe off of the ground. And that intention is going to activate muscles on the outside of my shin right there. And those are the muscles we're trying to hit. Now notice how my heel is only just a little bit off of the ground. It doesn't need to be more than just 2-3 inches max. And most people won't be able to actually lift their big toe off of the ground. It's the intention that matters to get those muscles to activate. And again, 3 sets of 30 seconds. The last thing to think about is just to check in with yourself. Make sure your head and neck are relaxed. If you need to adjust your head a little bit, that's okay, but it should be relatively in line with your body. And just try to relax the tension here as much as you can, focusing on that foot contact and the big toe lift. If you want to progress this exercise, you could place a wedge like this if you have one in the same position your foot would be in, with the downside slanted that way. Get about halfway up on that wedge. We have around a 15-degree wedge right here, but a 10 could even work right here. I wouldn't go much more than 15 though. Get in the same exact position and do the same exact thing.